Assalamualaikum, everybody. I'm your host with Voice Show. Voice Show is geared towards bringing the beauty and the richness of Muslim Canadian contributors to the society. We talk about these unsung heroes. We talk about their value set that they bring to the society at large. And we talk about how these hidden gems are the real role models of the community. The reason why they're not in the limelight because they choose not to, because they want and they actually believe in serving than being in the limelight, being in media, and being in celebrity kind of corners. They are not the selfie clan. They're not the people who actually want to project themselves or brag about themselves. So my job here through this voice show is to actually bring those contributors to the limelight. So our youth who is actually desperately looking for those kind of role models and actually are looking desperately for those kind of celebrity people, the right positive way to actually have people look up to. So today I'm really pleased to actually introduce a wonderful sister of mine, and her name is Lana Emad. And she is an amazing role model for our community, especially our younger girls. And she's a qualified person. She is a University of Guelph graduate in Bio Chemistry and Microbiology. And she has done the master's from University of Guelph. And she has dedicated her life in influencing her peers like herself. And she has been doing an amazing job as an instructor at I3 Institute, and she's also busy, very busy in transforming the lives, the minds, the hearts of her younger peers, inshallah. So welcome, Lana. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khair for having me here.
Jazakallah khair for joining us out of your busy schedule. MashaAllah, you're very busy at this young age. MashaAllah. So tell me about how you started and what would you like to share with our viewers about your background, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. So bismillah. So I'm 26 years old. I put on the hijab when I was 13, and I have been a hijabi ever since. I went into university in a different view of university and different view of people. At the time, actually, I was very nervous to go in and have this new adventure, trying to get my new career going. And I learned within my undergrad that it was difficult to actually find people who would continue to want, to push you toward Islam. Actually, it was the opposite. I found a lot of people looking at me as if I was religious because of my hijab and not necessarily being as supportive. Even though there are lots of people, I would see more people, attaining religiosity to stricter guidelines, and anything other than that is what is freedom.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you brought up this point. It's the same understanding that I have. More and more, I see people thinking that religion gives them boundaries, that religion gives them restrictions, or the religion puts them in a box. To me, religion gives you discipline, religion gives you freedom, and you're free to do as long as you're doing it the right way, right? So the more you understand your religion, the more you understand how free you are, right? But today, youth sees that being a practicing Muslim or being a practicing person, a practicing religious person, gives you, actually pushes you towards that confined state or confined space. So what would you like to comment about it? Do you face the same, or how do you actually encounter that?
Yeah, so actually, near the end of my undergraduate degree, I was feeling that as well. I felt the pressure from people, and especially being in the sciences, there aren't many Muslims, I find. And if there are, they're not sometimes very practicing. It was rare for me to find someone who was very practicing and in science in the same field as me, especially because I went into research. And everyone I knew basically was encouraging me to become to let go a little. And at some point it pressured me into actually wanting to do that, but I didn't want to remove my hijab because it was my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I felt that, because I wasn't as religious as I was now. I mean, I wasn't completely off, but I was definitely, in a kind of middle ground where I wasn't really, too religious. I wasn't really working. I was just doing the basic, obligations, and that's it. And I noticed that I wasn't really happy. I noticed that I actually felt like I had to fit in, in order to have a job, in order to do things like just, have people talk to me in university, and actually want to hang out with me. I actually kind of felt really lonely. But subhanAllah, when I started, I took an Islamic class for the first time, and it was an I3. And I remember the sheikh, he was telling us about what it means to say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And it actually means that you're going to be free. And I was shocked. SubhanAllah, I was like, everyone keeps telling me that I'm strict and I'm bound by chains of religion and all these things. I've even been told I'm medieval. And subhanAllah, that moment, that class really changed me, and it really affected me, because he said, to surrender yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually to free yourself from the bounds and chains of society. And to free yourself from what everyone thinks of you, and to free yourself from the slavery of man. Instead, you're going to be a slave to Allah, and that means a whole lot more. And it's actually more beneficial for you.
And that's actually so beautiful. And this is exactly why we need to actually present to the world. When we talk to our youth, they always come up with challenges of suffocation, the boundaries, and they talk about Islam as an ancient religion, which has no place in current days and age, because we don't actually understand our deen first ourselves. And I think parents should do a better job at actually presenting the deen. We actually present Islam as a box of rituals, like a magic box where only we have the prayer rituals, the Eid, and all that, and nothing else. So we actually do not apply Islam as a means of life, which actually covers every single domain in life, in a person's life, right? So this is why we are actually so confused ourselves. We don't actually understand our religion to present it better. So what was your breakthrough? You mentioned about this lecture that you attended as a student. So you're yourself very young, mashallah. So what inspired you to become a mentor for your peers or an instructor person? Inshallah.
So I was actually 20 years old when I went to that class, and I was very shy, and I didn't really have any friends, and I didn't want to make friends. I was the type of person who was like, I'm just gonna, I thought the same thing. To be honest, I thought all the people were going to be judgy if they were religious, because I didn't fit in with the very religious, and then I was like, I didn't fit in with the non-religious. I didn't know where I fit in. So I always had that mentality, just kind of like what people gave me, that image that, people who are very religious are going to be very judgy, and they're not going to, accept you either, because they're going to look down on you. But I didn't want to be part of the non-religious either, in the left side right here, because, for me, it didn't feel right. I didn't want to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I still, believed in him, and I still wanted to be a good Muslim to some, for me, I was like, okay, I wanted to at least, have a better connection with him, even if I can't be around people. But then what I learned, subhanAllah, is that Islam made me get out and become social. And and subhanAllah, I met people there that were completely the opposite of what I thought. They were not judgy. They were very sweet, and a lot of them were like me. And I fit in for the first time in my life. I've never fit in since I was in grade school, since I was in high school, since I was in undergrad, until I finally met someone in that class, and we started talking, and she was telling me about her life, and she was older than me, and she told me she felt the same way. And subhanAllah, I never had that before. I never had anyone who, I never met anybody who was actually, telling me the same exact feeling that I was feeling, or went through the similar things that I've went through. And when I did finally meet her, I met a lot of other girls too. She introduced me to many others, and I started making friends. And subhanAllah, becoming, a leader in the community just became natural, because it's something that you have to do, and it's something that you enjoy doing, and it didn't become, it was not a burden. It just happened that I just wanted to also help the other girls that were like me, that were struggling through things, girls like me that are in high school who are struggling through the things that I struggled through, whether it's hijab or wanting to take it off or whatever it is, like understanding that, you know, you're who you are, your confidence comes from your deen and not from what people think of you. And I think that's a
So
big issue that girls have in this time.
yes, and this is what I hear over and over as a youth mentor. I hear that fit in is the most difficult of all things, right? You spoke about it, and like, you know, a lot of our girls actually go through these things. Like, you know, whenever we talk about hijab, it's a struggle. They think they want to do it, but they don't want to do it because they want to look normal. So the normal here is people around them, right? So the way you found that sense of belonging was your search of that, like, you know, fitting in. But most of the girls today that I see, they actually are either lost themselves, or they actually don't have the opportunity to actually find those connection or find those circle of belonging, or sometimes they don't actually see the need to actually look further. So what would you suggest for, like, you know, struggling girls in high school who might not be able to find a circle like yours? Like, you know, you were, mashallah, fortunate that age 20, at least, it was a more deciding of an age. Where do you want to belong and where do you want to head in future, right? So you found that.
Right.
But high school is the toughest phase. And this is where most of our girls are kind of completely lost. They don't have a good connection with parents. They have complete detachment from their family. They feel completely disenfranchised. And what would you suggest for these young girls?
So I actually went through something similar. I didn't have anybody in my high school either. I was very, very lonely in high school, more than I was an undergraduate. But loneliness in high school is different when you're going to university or college, because university or college, you can be lonely and it's not a big deal, because people don't care anymore. But when you're in high school, people only care to kind of look at you in a bad light. They want to find the mistakes in you. They want to find the flaws in you. And it's a horrible mentality. It's basically what society has depicted as what is high school to you. What I suggest to young girls, and I always tell them, listen, you might not, to be honest, fit in with any of the people in your high school. So are you going to keep trying? And when you're trying, does it make you feel good? Does it actually? Because you just feel bad after. See, the thing is that you have a conscience. And your conscience is going to keep telling you that when you're going to try and, you know, do something against your deen, it's just going to make it worse for you. So what ends up happening is you feel bad, and you also feel bad for not fitting in. So you're just stuck in the middle. You're like, I don't know what to do. I want friends. I want this popularity. But in the end, high school is only 4 years. I mean, I tell girls, like, it's only 4 years. You can get through it and find friends outside of your high school. Find girls who you will fit in with and don't make you feel bad. You shouldn't have friends that make you want to do things that are bad or make you feel bad in general about how you look or what you're doing or how your lifestyle is. If your lifestyle isn't according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it's always going to feel bad. It's always going to feel bad. And you need to reflect on that. You need to actually sit there for a minute and think, are these the people that I want to spend the rest of my life with? Are they going to be even people that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? No, they're going to be temporary. You won't even talk to them. I don't talk to anybody from high school anymore. I've let go of everyone from high school. I don't even talk to anyone from undergrad. I only have the friends that I made that actually I fit in with. And when you find those friends, you have to go throughout the community, go to the masjid, go and look for those types of girls. But find people who don't make you feel bad about yourself or don't make you think otherwise. Like, society is always going to put pressure on you. Where you don't feel pressure, to be honest, is when you're around the people of your deen, the good people. The people who want good for you, want you to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that connection is the only connection that's going to keep you going.
Sisters, stay tuned. We're talking to Lana Emad, and we spoke about the struggles of young Muslim girls in high school and undergrad, and how we actually can help find the sense of belonging and develop your own circles of comfort around you. Inshallah, stay tuned. We will get into the workplace solutions, and we will talk about some challenges as well, and how Lana actually overcame those challenges and what advice does she need to give you guys, inshallah. Stay tuned. I'm your host, Farina Siddiqui. Assalamualaikum.